Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Notre Dame fans, whenever you are tuning in or watching or listening, whatever the case may be. Thank you so much for making us part of your day. Watch live, watch back, listen to this as a podcast. I'm Mike Singer. With me, Kyle Kelly. Hope that you all are doing well wherever you are in the world. Kyle, I got a phone call I got to take. Do you want to talk to the people and then talk about the USC recruiting weekend?
Yeah, I can do that. Well, thanks, Mike, for giving me the floor here. You are still okay. Now you're muted, but and now it's just me. So I was going to start the show by saying that I'm sorry for my hairdo this morning because Notre Dame football recruiting has kept me pretty busy over the last several weeks, and now Mike put me on full screen, but. Now, a little bit more of a look at the Notre Dame recruiting weekend versus USC. So, credit to Mike Singer and a little bit of a pat on the back to myself. I feel like we've covered this weekend pretty extensively on Blue and Gold. You can check out all our coverage, which includes visit recaps from all the guys, a lot of intel. So, if you want the most in-depth insight on Notre Dame's recruiting weekends, make sure to head over to Blue and Gold. It looks like Mike is back.
So I am. Sorry about that.
Yeah,
I might
talk about it a little
playing
bit more.
phone tag.
But yeah.
It's not the first time I've just had to leave you and put you on the spot when I get a phone call. That just seems to happen during this show. My power went out during my show yesterday. It was just a disaster of a show. But anyways. Yeah, Kyle. I mean, dude, just scrolling the 2027 guys. This is sorted by ranked. I mean, Jack Brown is number 101, but if you top 101 players on campus in the 27 class: Jack Brown, Taven Epps, Jackson Dollar, Noah Roberts, Seneca Driver, Javay Williams, Chris Whitehead, Munchon Sales, David Jacobs, Jameer Brown, Kemon Spell. Is that 11? 11 top 100 recruits in one recruiting weekend, and that is just 2027 targets. That's not including 26 commits. That's not including 2028 elite prospects, like one that Kyle predicted to Notre Dame. Like crazy recruiting weekend. And Kyle, like how big the A&M visit weekend was and how well that went with the Irish losing that game still, to get the win over USC just makes it even better. So Notre Dame's already got a commitment out of the recruiting weekend. I know Hayes Fawcett tweeted the Shamrock emoji ×2. We'll see what that's all about. But yeah, I mean, the Irish got a commitment. We'll talk about him in just a second. Couldn't have gone much better, Kyle. Like, it really was a great recruiting weekend.
Yeah, I guess we can be transparent. I mean, we have reported on the visitor weekend absolutely extensively, talking to sources in and outside of Notre Dame's campus, talking to a lot of different recruits who were in South Bend. I haven't heard who a second commitment would be. I don't know if you can still share that same sentiment, Mike. So still a mystery of us, but either way, even if there's not something immediate, something else immediate coming out of that weekend, I think Notre Dame moved the needle for a lot of guys. That's what we really reported on Blue and Gold. I mean, there were, 3 or 4 guys who were on campus for that Texas A&M game who made it back to Notre Dame for the USC game, and the quality of those guys are a really big deal. 5-star edge rusher David Jacobs Jr. from Georgia, 5-star wide receiver Munchon Sales at Indianapolis, and then borderline top 100 4-star recruit Jack Brown. All those guys were on campus for the Texas A&M game six or so weeks ago. And a lot of these, a lot of other top talent in town too. And I started this show by saying that we've covered a lot of these guys extensively on Blue and Gold, but the overall sentiment is that if Notre Dame is not the leader for a lot of these guys, they're in the top group. I mean, there's multiple of these guys you or I have both predicted to Notre Dame. So
yeah,
I always say that the easiest way to kind of your phrase is much more simple than mine. You say follow the visits in terms of guys are leaning toward committing to a school. The way I think about it for Notre Dame is maybe a little bit little bit more detailed. I look in the spring. Did they make a visit in the spring? I look in the summer. Did they make a visit in the summer? Then I look in the season. Did they make, were they on campus for Notre Dame's major recruiting weekend? And a lot of those recruits, fit that criteria. So you can kind of predict how a lot of these recruitments are going to end up for Notre Dame, based on the amount of times they've visited campus. And then when you add the fact that it was another outstanding experience for a lot of these prospects, I think that Notre Dame is going to get some strong returns down the road.
Yeah, I talk about that as well. Like, there's different for Notre Dame. There's different like key points or like key moments in the year that you want the recruit to visit for. And if you say in the 27 class, it would be like you want them to visit during the fall of their sophomore year. So for like someone like Kemon Spell, we'd be looking at last year, right? When they're sophomores. So you want them to come visit and see a game before they even have an offer. That's ideal, right? But maybe not always realistic. And then you want them to visit in the spring of their sophomore year. So maybe they're a pot of gold offer. They get that offer in March, and then, hey, go ahead and visit in March or April, right? You want them back in June, whether it's for a camp or the grill and chill or just to come visit. You want them back in the fall of their junior year. You want them, so that would be right now, right? You want them back in the winter. I don't think like bowl practices are as big of a visit thing as they used to be, but that junior day at the end of January, was it the end of January this year, Kyle? Yeah, it was, because Bowdoin had just left like the day before or 2 days before. So end of January, and then spring visit their junior year, and then summer. Come for an official visit. So you're looking at like 6 or 7 different times for a player to visit South Bend and end up landing them. And I think if you like go through some of the long time targets, like how many times is Joey O'Brien? Like let's use Joey as an example of that. I don't let's see. Let me pull up his. So Joey's been to Notre Dame 7 times. So he did right before Pot of Gold Day. Then he came back for Grill and Chill. And then he hit a game his junior year. Did not come for junior day, but then came spring of junior year and then official visit. So he hit a lot of those key visits that we just kind of talked about on the calendar. So yeah, I like that point. I like that point, Kyle.
Yeah, we didn't really talk about that beforehand, but I thought it came to mind. So, I mean, we've covered everything else pretty much extensively besides that.
Yeah.
A lot of elite talent, man. Just got to be a matter. Notre Dame can close on it. That makes me think of another point that came up on the Loose Emoji message board this week. We had a subscriber who's a little bit concerned about Notre Dame's ability to maybe win some of these recruitments because of the fear of Notre Dame would get outbid. Well, I think it's pretty simple that Notre Dame fans shouldn't be concerned about that anymore. Not to say that Notre Dame has been the highest bidder for a lot of their recent commits or is, going overboard with the pay for play, but I think it's pretty clear that Notre Dame is highly competitive in the NIL space right now. When you just look at their commit list in the 26 cycle, I think there's depending on which service you go by, I think there's 6 or 7 guys that are 5-star caliber recruits who are in the top 32. So, I mean, it's just the nature of the game now. If you're that highly rated, and it's important to say that Notre Dame doesn't go off the internet recruiting rankings or ratings in terms of how they pay for guys once they get up to campus, or how they evaluate guys and things like that. But usually the internet rankings, I would probably say, align with the most of the ratings of staffs across the country. Like, at the end of the day, an elite recruit is an elite recruit.
Yeah.
So Notre Dame's, like I said, got 6 or 7 of those guys in the 26 class, and I mean, like I said, they're not paying for guys up front. This is not pay for play. This isn't, Notre Dame being the highest bidder, but it's just a fact that Notre Dame's competitive in the NIL space. NIL is not the boogeyman anymore. We're in the rev share era. There's, for all intents and purposes, a salary cap in terms of the amount of money that a school can distribute throughout its roster. And Notre Dame's competitive in that space, and that's not the reason they're winning these recruitments, but the fact that they are pretty competitive in that space is a reason why they can get a lot of these recruits on board. So don't be concerned that Notre Dame's going to get outbid or, not put together competitive NIL offers. And the thing is, with a lot of the kids at Notre Dame recruits, NIL is not the most important factor. I talked to Kemon Spell, and he told me that NIL is last for him. So
I think when NIL started, it was such a thing. It was like, I want to cash in on this. And you saw Texas A&M just go crazy, and Notre Dame did not do well on that front. It was not their biggest selling point. I think Notre Dame, it took them like 9 or 10 months or so to kind of get more involved in high school recruiting and NIL and combining those things together and have those conversations. But it was so crazy, and it really has come to the mean. So it's not like, I think so many recruits now don't want to, like, no, none of these kids want to be bought. I think they've kind of seen that before, and they don't want that. I think, especially with kids at Notre Dame recruits, maybe, we don't cover enough, like, deep South crazy recruitments where that's just the number one thing is, but maybe that's it, Kyle. We just cover, Notre Dame kids.
Ironically enough, Notre Dame is on track to sign the most recruits they have from the South in years and years and years. So Notre Dame's shown they can be successful in that area too.
Yeah. So it's evened out, and Notre Dame is playing it really well. And I think it's just working out great for Notre Dame because they can be competitive, and like Notre Dame is going to be sensible with how they use NIL, and the recruits get that now. I think at first, like I said, it was a little bit of the wild, wild west, and now it's kind of evened out. All right, let's talk about Augie's locker room. We know you love Notre Dame memorabilia and one-of-a-kind Fighting Irish items and super unique stuff. You can find it at Augie's Locker Room, 1733 North Ironwood Drive in South Bend, just down the street from campus. So if you're in town for one of the 2 remaining home games or a basketball game or whatever the case may be, you got to make time for Augie's Locker Room. This full-size replica Notre Dame ball helmet painted is so cool. Bro, what? You got touchdown Jesus on the top? Like, Auggie gets new stuff in all of the time. You're going to want to check it out. And you can go to his online store, augieslockerroom.com. Notre Dame Stadium pieces, jerseys, helmets, autographs, one-of-a-kind Rockney items, exclusive Joe Montana signed items, famous sculptor Jerry McKenna's replicas of the bronze statues around the stadium, and so much more that you can find at Augie's Locker Room. So give them a call, 574-277-6363, or go to augieslockerroom.com. All right, Kyle, what do we got? James Halter, 4-star offensive lineman, committed to the Fighting Irish yesterday. What'd you make of this news, Mr. Kelly? Not really a surprise to see this one, but yeah, pretty nice get for the Irish here.
Yeah, no, it is. I gave 5 thoughts about it on Blue and Gold yesterday in a written forum, so please feel free to check that one out, and happy to share a couple more here. The big thing that comes to mind with this commitment is you look at the guys that Notre Dame has recruited at offensive line, and the Joe Rudolph and maybe some other guys a little bit before that. One guy that comes to mind is Joe Alt, where he didn't grow up necessarily playing offensive line. You covered his recruitment more than me, but he was a tight end, right, for most of his high school career? Yeah, so Mike's muted but nodding.
Yes, sorry. Yeah, he and even I feel like his senior year, he still, I remember him catching like a dozen balls. So he kind of played like a sixth offensive lineman. So he was a tight
Mhm.
end, but really Joe Walt was a sixth offensive lineman. He was just
Mhm.
a blocking tight end, but like
Mhm.
even more leaning towards tackle.
Yeah. But even some of the other guys they've recently recruited, obviously said Joe Wald. He wasn't recruited by Joe Rudolph, but guys that were Gerby Lambert. I believe he started his high school career as a soccer player. I wrote about that on Blue and Gold. I did a long form feature story about that a couple of summers ago. There's another guy Emil Wagner. He started his high school career as a wide receiver. And the reason I'm talking about this is because James Halter is just in year 3 of playing football, played lacrosse growing up, ironically enough, was a tight end for the first couple years of his high school career. And, I think his dad was a former offensive lineman at Notre Dame. Jordan Halter played in the late 80s, early 90s for Joe Moore. And I think it became apparent as James Halter started to mature and, get move into his body, so to speak, that he was going to be an offensive lineman. So he took that and ran with that this spring, really bulked up, started to add a lot of Power 5 scholarship offers. And Notre Dame's really been there for the start, even though that he just made this switch to offensive line in the offseason. They brought him up to campus for the Blue Gold game in April. They had him up to campus to work for an Irish invasion. Joe Rudolph went to his high school and scouted him. So they got a really good evaluation on him. And the fact that they chose to go after Halter is, I think, a pretty good sign of, how highly they think of him. I was just going through some of the guys who have visited Notre Dame in the 27 cycle on the offensive line. There's been 11 or so nationally ranked guys that I could point to that came to Notre Dame campus for either game day or a camp or a spring visit. So that means Joe Rudolph got his eyes on them. He didn't offer those guys. And besides James Halter, there's only been like 7 or 8 guys who have received an offer from Notre Dame in the 27 cycle on the offensive line. Most of those guys were pot of gold day offers. So easy way to sum it is that Joe Rudolph is very picky, very diligent on who he chooses to target, and James Halter being one of those guys, I think is a pretty good sign for the type of potential they see in him once he gets to campus.
So a big reason why they offered a little bit later was to just see this early junior season film, right? Like see him transition from tight end to tackle.
Yeah, definitely. I was told that the reason they did not offer going into his junior year, even though they got to see him a couple times in person and he worked with Joe Rudolph at Irish Invasion, is they just want to see some game film. And by the time he visited for the Texas A&M game on September 13th, I think he had 3 or 4 games out there. So that
Yeah.
gave Notre Dame enough time to evaluate him, enough time to offer. Didn't take long for him to commit. He wanted to be done with the recruiting process, and Notre Dame was the favorite from the start.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's pretty cool. Kyle, I know you told me this, but I could not find in all of our different communication forums where you sent this to me. But okay, so obviously James Halter, his dad, Jordan Halter, played at Notre Dame with Richie Flanagan's dad, Jim. But they have been friends for a long time. Like there's a lot of people who play together, but now they're not best friends throughout. Like it seems like those two
Mhm.
guys are really close, the elder Flanagan and the elder Halter. But they like vacation together. What was that you told me?
Yeah, I I don't know how I told you either, but it's my understanding that those two families have cottages or vacation homes of some sort up in northern Michigan, and
Okay.
yeah, so James Halter has known Richie Flanagan for a while because Jim Flanagan and Jordan Halter have known each other for a while, and
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
kept their relationship. So
I tweeted out that picture that you had sent us of them. So yeah, well, how much different does James Halter look? This would have been probably. Oh no, this was just in September. He looks lean. At first, I thought this was in the
uh,
spring because look at the logo on the lanyard. This is
is
September.
it really? Okay, wow. I was
Or
just
I guess
saying,
it could be. I guess it could have just been a couple weeks ago. They were both on campus for both games. But Halter looks thin. This guy is going to grow into a beast. He kind of fits the like that Anthony Knapp, Gregory Patrick, like really could play all five positions on the offensive line. Like could be a tackle, but you know, I think I like Halter as an interior lineman. But he's an interesting one, man.
Yeah, I'm starting to wonder myself when this photo was taken. But
Well, look at the logo on the lanyard. That's the new logo. So it's got to be in September or just this past weekend. So
no, it would have been. I don't think those guys were wearing shorts to the USC game. But funny enough,
it was probably September.
So I'm pretty sure James Halter was 270 pounds going into the season. Now he maybe lightened up a little bit just because it's hard to maintain weight during football season, but the fact that he's 270,
yeah,
a lot.
Adding
weight won't be an issue.
Folks, please hit the thumbs up on this video. Subscribe to the Blue and Gold YouTube channel for more content. You hear me talk about the thumbs up all the time. I know you're probably getting tired of it. But seriously, every time you see a video, just hit the little thumbs up icon. It really helps support us, what we're doing here at Blue and Gold. And, of course, blueandgold.com is your home for Notre Dame football recruiting coverage. The show is brought to you by Game Time. And we got to be real about something. Buying tickets for your favorite sporting events and more can be an absolute nightmare. The queues, the logins, prices jumping at checkout can take the fun out of the process. And that's why I've been using Game Time, which is a game changer. It puts the advantage back in your hands, and in just a couple of taps, you'll get great seats at a great price. Tickets start as low as $25. And here's what I love. The price you see is the price you pay. No hidden fees sneaking in at checkout. You can even see the view from your seat before you buy, which is great. And with their zone deals, you pick the section and Game Time will pick the seats, so you save even more. And everything's backed by the Game Time guarantee, so you know the tickets are legit and on time. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code ON3. That's ON3 for $20 off your purchase. Terms apply. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. Now that's a damn good ad read. Sometimes I fumble through those things, but that one was like fantastic. All right, Kyle. Let's see what's next. Kemon Spell. Okay, so he's been highly discussed lately. Kyle, the 5-star running back out of McKee high school in the Pittsburgh area, 5'10", 210 pounds, excuse me, the top running back in the 27th cycle. He is a 5-star by the industry ranking, which, by the way, man, this was such a, this conversation drove me absolutely crazy on social media and the message board. Rivals updated its rankings, right? Actually, let me pull it up just so we can have this visual. All right, so Rivals updated its rankings, and it will announce the top 20 or so ranked guy. I don't know what it was. Well, it was top 15. So they get to number 9 here. And there's Kemon Spell. And it says 4 stars. You can actually see the response there. So Flowbro on Twitter says, stop playing. You saw the prediction to Notre Dame and immediately dropped the kid. Because we've been all talking about a 5-star running back, right? And here he is as a 4-star. So surely Rivals just dropped him because he's going to Notre Dame, right? Surely. Okay, and here's my response. He's never been a 5-star by Rivals. Rivals only has the top. Right now it's 7. The top 7 players. Now, if you want to argue why is the number 1 running back not a 5-star, you can make that argument. It doesn't matter. Like whatever. But that's more of a matter of opinion. But saying that that Rivals dropped him is just false. He was always a 4-star. Rivals doesn't have any 5-stars yet. It's the industry ranking, which I was talking to Charles Power about this. The industry ranking, which combines 24/7 ESPN and Rivals, has a set schedule of how many 5-stars they're at a time. So it might start at 5. A couple months goes by, it increases to 10 and then 15. It is a set schedule. So when you go to Spell's profile and you see he's the number 7 player by Rivals, which is a 5-star, and number 9 is not, it's you have to see it as 2 different entities. The industry ranking, which we use when we talk about rankings, usually, like we'll reference the Rivals rankings, but we like the industry ranking because it's 33% rivals, 33% 24/7, and even though it probably shouldn't be because ESPN's terrible, is 33% ESPN. When I say ESPN's terrible, they just barely rank guys. Like they're so like they haven't even ranked James Halter yet. They haven't ranked James Halter yet, a Notre Dame offensive lineman commitment, who's a big time guy. It's not like Notre Dame just pulled James Halter, and this was his first offer. It's like he's been on the radar for several months. Like that's besides the point. So it's a set schedule. So as the process goes on, more players get added to the industry ranking 5-star list. And for rivals, it's similar, right? As the cycle goes on, there will be 32 5-stars by the end of it, but it's not on a set schedule like the industry ranking is. So that's out of the way. That drove me crazy. I think more than anything in this business, and there's a lot of things that piss me off, is he's going to Notre Dame, or he committed to Notre Dame and that's why he dropped. It is the stupidest thing on the planet. Every fan base says it. It's just not true. And you're like if someone
Well, I'm not sure if Mike's connection went out. I'm going to have to go ahead and check with him, but I think we're still live. I just want to make sure on my end with the YouTube we are. I guess Mike said his power went out yesterday. Yep, so we are still live. So yeah, thanks for being with us here. I know Mike was talking about Kemon Spell, the 5-star running back from McKeesport High School, and he's back, I think. So usually when we have connection issues, it's usually me, but just talking about Keon Spell, I'll just give some of my thoughts on it. His first Notre Dame visit it was the first trip he made after decommitting from Penn State about a week prior. And even though that was a good sign for Notre Dame that they were the first school to get him up to campus, ironically enough, that visit's been in the works for a while. He had that set while committed to Penn State. He was actually supposed to initially be on campus for the it was a Texas A&M game on September 13th. He moved it for whatever reason. I think it's fine. That ended up being mid-October for Notre Dame. They made a pretty big move. Welcome back, Mike. Did your power go out again?
No, it didn't. I have no idea what happened.
Oh my gosh, that was crazy because I thought that
was I just mid-sentence and it cut out?
Yeah, you disappeared, and I thought that my computer froze, but it was you.
Well, joke's on me. I'm the big idiot then. Anyways, rant over about the Kemon Spell ranking. It is what it is. But I will pop up on the screen those. I don't know what you were saying, Kyle, because I was out and about, just trying to get back in here. But yeah, Spell has scheduled a few visits. So what point were you making on Spell?
No, I was just explaining that it was a good sign that his first visit as an uncommitted recruit was to Notre Dame, but the fact of the matter was that he had this visit scheduled while committed to Penn State. So his recruitment is evolving and changing by the hour. I was told going into this week that these were the visits he had set. He was going to go to Syracuse. He was going to go to Georgia and Michigan, I think. I don't think Oregon and Miami were set going into the week. And then I think on Monday night or Tuesday, they ended up getting on the schedule. And he was supposed to visit Tennessee on November 1st, and it ended up being Ohio State on November 1st. So this thing is really fluid. So to be honest, the fact that Notre Dame was still able to get him to campus, even though it was previously planned, you have to like that. And to no surprise, Notre Dame made a major move, are now the team to beat moving forward. And just talking to some, sources, I think that the plan is now that Notre Dame kind of wants to see where they're at coming out of all these visits and see how things go, because they know they're setting the pace now. And Spell wants to wait until signing day, which is in 14 months to commit.
Not a
I don't
chance.
think it's going to go that long.
Not a chance.
But he was pretty insistent about it.
Just no
So
way. Maybe the recruitment will go on until signing day. Like maybe it'll have some drama until signing day, but no, there's just no way.
he does not want to commit to a school because I don't know. I think
But you
that
just said things are always changing. I don't see it. I don't see it.
I don't either. I was challenging him so hard about this. I felt bad because I kept pressing the poor kid about it. I was like, "You
Don't
really
press the
think?"
poor kid. Dang.
I mean, because I want to nail it down, like if this is what he was actually thinking, and it was, and talked to some other sources, and that's the plan as of now.
Okay.
So we'll see. We'll see. I think it'll change. That's just my opinion. But
So this is the kind of the glass half full and the glass half empty with Kemon Spell right now. Again, the 5-star running back by the industry ranking, but surely. All right, I got this call now, so never mind, Kyle. After Spell, do you want to talk about Matt Sieg?
yeah, you know more about that recruitment than me.
You're about to.
Okay. Well, back again. So that would be Matt Sieg, who Mike is referencing, a 4-star safety out of McDonald, Pennsylvania. Goes to a high school called Fort Cherry High School. Not exactly on the Ohio PA border, but more close to Ohio than anything else, kind of Pittsburgh area. Notre Dame's involved in that recruitment. He's verbally committed to Penn State, one of the top defensive backs in the 26 cycle. And I don't know if Notre Dame's looking to make any additions to the 2026 class commit list just because it's so strong right now. Notre Dame's got the number 3 class in the country in the team rankings. And the defensive backfield is pretty much filled in the 26 class. You have 5 guys committed, and 4 of those guys, I believe, are in the top 150. Ironically, just to rivals rankings, those guys being Aiden Pouncey, Joey O'Brien, Kari Adams, and Chaz Smith. So Notre Dame's got a really loaded defensive backfield in the 26 cycle. So I don't know if they necessarily need to risk shaking that up to bring Matt Sieg in. I think that's probably one of the conversations that they're having in South Bend right now. I think all those guys are pretty strongly committed to Notre Dame. The 5th one being Nick Reddish, who is a little bit more lowly rated. He's a 3-star guy out of North Carolina, but his rating is mostly because he missed his junior season due to a leg injury, and he's having a really good year right now. But the plan for now is to bring Matt Sieg up to campus, 26 safety committed to Penn State. He'll be up for the Navy game, which is, I think, November 8th, that second Saturday in November. Notre Dame is going to get him up there, kind of see how things go, I think is the plan as of now. I think that before James Franklin's firing, if we're talking, months ago, if there was a team that was best positioned to flip Sieg, I think that it would have been Notre Dame. They offered him back in February. I think they appealed to him quite a bit, but his sentiment to, I think it was Blue and White, our Penn State site on on 3 Rivals Network, was that he committed to for a reason. He didn't want to be disrespectful to the staff and start looking around elsewhere. So he just remained committed to Penn State, but your head coach gets fired. It obviously changes the process a little bit. So he'll get up to South Bend on November 8th. He's already officially visited Indiana. I think he's going to be at Penn State either this week or the week before his Notre Dame visit. Those are the 3 schools who are trying to make a move for him, and Notre Dame is in the mix as well. So we'll see what happens there. Ironically, I've always wondered this. I mean, you guys know I'm a Midwest-based guy. I'm in Toledo, but Notre Dame doesn't really seem to recruit Pittsburgh area a whole lot. Really haven't signed a guy out of there since Donovan Heinisch from Pittsburgh Central Catholic. Ironically enough, they just got a commitment yesterday from Pittsburgh Central Catholic James Halter, who we talked about earlier in the show. Now they're going after Matt Sieg. going after Kemon Spell. So Notre Dame getting involved in Pittsburgh. So something to watch there. I just gave the rundown Matt Sieg's recruitment, Mike. So,
thank you. Yeah, because Barry asked anybody else in the 26th class, and I realized we haven't.
And let me summarize for you, Mike. I basically said that, I mean, they're set in 26. They have one of the best secondaries in the 26 cycle. I think they're bringing him to campus just to kind of get a temperature check there, see how interested Sieg is. And then also, I think Notre Dame needs to figure out whether or not it's worth pursuing. Am I reading that right?
Yeah, I mean, look, this is how I see it. He just took an official to Indiana, and where's his other one coming up? Pitt? And then he also scheduled Notre Dame for an unofficial for November 8th. That kind of tells me what I need to know, that it's an unofficial. I wouldn't even be shocked if he committed to one of those two schools before the Notre Dame trip. It wouldn't shock me. That's kind of a gut thing. And Kyle, you can figure out who called me by looking down at your phone if you haven't yet.
Yeah, going through this now.
Yeah, I'll handle it after the show. But that's kind of so. I would guess he'll end up elsewhere, whether it's like Indiana or who knows, maybe Penn State gets a new coach in at some point before signing day. And
okay, I want to interrupt you so bad right now.
Okay. Wait, you're not allowed to interrupt me. I'm supposed to interrupt you, remember?
Go ahead, you sure that you want to travel on Friday? I mean, you're going to be traveling either way, but looks like.
What are you talking about?
Oh, are you going to see Faison tonight?
Kyle, let's we can discuss this after the show.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know where you're going with this, and I want to discuss it after the show. Okay. All right. Sorry, maybe we just need to move this show time because it seems like Thursday at 1 p.m. things just are popping all over the place. I'm so sorry, guys. Give me a second. But that's kind of the feel on Sieg. We'll see. It's kind of a wait and see. But I think if Notre Dame like goes all in here, then I think he comes to Notre Dame. That's kind of how I feel right now. Guys, I really am sorry. It's just been an unprofessional show these past couple days. Internet's going out. Jack's on his phone. Tyler's in a dungeon. We're all over the place. So that was the discussion on Matt Sieg that I wanted to have. And then speaking of Penn State, well, I guess Sieg hasn't technically decommitted, but Leighton von Brandt has decommitted, Kyle, and he's from Middletown, Delaware. I'm not going to try to pronounce that high school. Number 44 overall player nationally, number 6 offensive tackle. He's going to be visiting Notre Dame. Was it Navy game? Yeah. I think that there's like a high likelihood that he announces an offer from Notre Dame that day. And I think that Notre Dame will have a pretty good shot there. Now he's got a pretty long list of offers, and I think he's taken a couple other visits, but he will become one to watch. And then another 27 I wanted to talk about real quick was Hayden Stepp. Man, this DB recruiting in the 27 class has been, look, they don't have any committed yet, but man, has it looked impressive so far. And you're just bringing in Hayden Stepp from Bishop Gorman, number 19 overall player, number 3 corner in the 27 class, a 5-star by that industry ranking. Which, again, the industry ranking has like triple the amount of 5 stars as Rival Zone right now. Why that is, I don't know. You can debate that. But anyways, 6'3", 175 pounds. And someone on the message board, Kyle, asked me, what's a bigger like white whale for Notre Dame recruiting right now? Is it Fresno recruit, which I think is a little bit more before your time, like that whole thing.
I understand. Fresno was like a 10-year ago thing. Why are we so about that? Why does Notre Dame need to recruit Fresno? They're recruiting kids.
That's what I said. I was like, the Fresno thing is pretty irrelevant to me, especially in modern day. So me, the bigger discussion was like IMG or Bishop Gorman. Like those are the two biggest. Like, man, Notre Dame needs to. Like, when's the last time Notre Dame landed IMG? We said it was what, one of the linebackers, right? It
They
wasn't
had
Bertrand. It was
Houston Griffith out of there, but he was a Chicagoland kid originally.
yeah. I mean, all of those kids are. So yeah, was it Griffith was what 2018 class? There may have been someone in the 2019 class. I want to say a linebacker Notre Dame got from there. And then Bishop Gorman, they've had kids committed there. Justin Rhett in the 23 cycle, but it's been. I mean, I have no idea the last player Notre Dame got from Bishop Gorman. I'm sure the chat will let me know. I mean, they've obviously got guys, but Ronnie Stanley went there.
Yeah,
But I mean, there's no.
LZ Mack, who changes.
Yeah, Mac. What about Oh my gosh, the son of the UFC. He's UFC. Oh man, this is gonna kill me. He's like coaching at UNLV or something. I don't remember. I'm dying over here. I can't remember any names, but I can tell you what backpack Lamar Jackson wore to his signing day ceremony in 2014. But I can't remember this. 2015 actually. Sorry. Anyways, sorry, Kyle. Leighton von Brandt, Hayden Stepp. Any thoughts here?
Yes, I'm also looking up who the Notre Dame players are from Bishop Gorman because it's driving me crazy. So let me see if I can find this real quick.
I got it. I got it. You can.
Nico Ferreira?
Fertitta, yeah.
Fertitta?
Yes, and his dad. Yeah, his dad was the Hold on, now I'm looking this up.
How about Notre Dame?
Billionaire Lorenzo Fertitta. Yeah. Recognized public co-owner of UFC. I knew that right, baby. I just couldn't remember the name. Yes, Get Go. Mark is killing it on the recruiting front. You can spell the guy's name right, but for $2 we'll allow it. Get Go. Appreciate you for being here as always. Yeah. Big time professional show over here.
Boy, it really has been today. Notre Dame recruited an offensive lineman from Delaware. Don't really hear that a whole lot, but he's a nationally ranked guy, right? I mean, we're talking 5-star caliber, 5-star potential. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. Leighton von Brandt. And I was when I was writing about this kid earlier in this week, I was talking to myself because I was trying to pronounce that high school. Appoquinimec? Is that what we're going with?
We'll get the crack stuff on it.
Yeah, I mean, sounds like Quinnipiac.
Ooh,
college out that way. But
all right, Appoquinimec. Appoquinimec. There you go. I got it. Appoquinimec.
Nice. Well, he's going to be at Notre Dame on the 8th. I think offer watch. Notre Dame's only offered, I think, 9 offensive linemen now with Kellen Weimer from Liberty Center, Ohio, reporting an offer from Notre Dame this week. I like the fact that the guys on the board are elite guys. I talked about this in my 5 thoughts after James Halter committed. 3 of those guys, well, actually 4 of them technically are all like 5-star caliber guys, or they might be 5-star recruits with Kennedy Brown, Mark Matthews, Cooper Hackett, who's from Oklahoma, committed to Oklahoma. The other one is Albert Simeon from Louisiana. Notre Dame's gotten 2 of those guys up to campus this season, and Albert Simeon, the 5-star interior offensive lineman, top-ranked interior offensive lineman in the 27 class. They got 5-star Mark Matthews up to campus from Fort Lauderdale, St. Thomas Aquinas, the number 1 offensive tackle in the class. Notre Dame's right in the mix for both those guys, and if I'm Joe Rudolph, I don't think it ends up happening this way, but I think there's a potential for Notre Dame to have 15 scholarship offensive linemen on the roster in 2027 when you factor in the 26 guys. So you can, if you're Joe Rudolph, you can probably make this class slightly smaller than in years past. They have 6 offensive linemen verbally committed in the 26 cycle. So anyway, my point being that I think Notre Dame should really, really nail down the elite guys in the 27 cycle now. And they're already in, like I said, on Simeon and Matthews. Von Brandt, I think, is another guy. Von Brandt, right? That's his last name. Yeah, Leighton von Brandt. So,
Yep.
Yeah, I think that those should really be the priorities moving forward.
All right, to end the today's show, Have you seen the Chauncey Billups news?
Yeah, I was gonna joke about that earlier in the show, but this show's been off the rails in every other direction.
It is not something to joke about. Otherwise, who knows who's going to be coming after you. That is the craziest sports story in. Look, there's a lot of crazy sports stories, but the guy, Chauncey Billups, a Hall of Fame basketball player, was coaching last night, and this morning he's arrested for a poker game thing tied with the mafia. Like Terry Rozier got arrested for, throwing stuff and,
This is all
allegedly.
Yeah. By the way.
Okay. All right, Kyle. No one's going to sue me for not saying that. But yeah, Rozier is, telling his buddy he spent $200,000 on his under. He's going to come out, and get injured or whatever. And so it hits like whatever. That is disgusting, obviously, but it's not like super shocking that the players do that kind of stuff. But the Billups thing, bro, poker and the mafia, like what? Like that was the craziest headline I read this morning, which I just had to say that this is the Notre Dame recruiting update, not big time journalism, national scale of the mafia. But dang, I just had to say that. It's crazy. All right, well, this has been another tumultuous show. For different reasons. But Kyle, you were a champ today. Whoever said earlier that Kyle is the star of the show. I'm trying to find it. There it is. Adam. Yes. Thank you, Kyle. You carried today. I had to pop out of here 3 times. 3 different times I just had to leave Kyle. And I hate going solo on shows, but I had to leave him 3 times and he carried. So anyways, Gecko, thank you again for the $2 super chats. We are going to end the show there. Really appreciate everyone for tuning in. Hit the thumbs up. If you're just watching, rewind, tune in from the beginning. It's a fun show today. So subscribe to the channel for more content. If you're listening to this as a podcast, please leave us a 5-star review, even if it's against your better judgment. And please go to blueandgold.com for so much more Notre Dame football recruiting coverage. Thank you all, and we'll catch you next time. Next live show will be, I think, Tuesday. The next live show will be next Tuesday. I'll be live with Eric Hansen, and Robbie Toma should be joining me. And Eric, it's been a little while since we've had Robbie on, so we're going to have Robbie on next Tuesday with us. Hit the thumbs up, and we'll catch you guys next time.